If you're a Tolkien fan, I already respect you as a human being. The great thing about Tolkien's work is that it's so rich and so different that when you're 15 and you will enjoy all the fun, you know, like the action, the adventure, the fights, you know, the battles, the big battles, you know, the hobbits, you know, all that, those sections that feels more fun. And then when you grow up, you discover all the politics and the complexity of that world. I think that is fantastic, you know, if you can have a book that you can discover new things every time you read it. It's terrific, it's fantastic. It's the sign that you are in front of a great piece of literature.
You might at least listen to the proposal I bring.
Ah, there it is. The true purpose of your visit. You want something.
I journeyed here to see my friend whom I've greatly missed.
Missed? You missed my wedding. The birth of my children, 2 of them. You cannot barge into my mountain and demand I welcome you with open arms.
I remember that I read that a show was going to be made, and I thought that felt good, that felt right, because when you look at the monumental work that Tolkien did in the books, feels like television will allow to have enough space to get into that, you know, and have that level of detail that you can find in the books. And then I got a call from my agent, and she told me that Patrick and JD wanted to meet me. I was very surprised, and I sat down with them. I was a little curious, but a little worried that we will get in to see again what we have seen in the other films. But I was very gladly surprised. I think they did something very smart, which was to portray the Second Age, which is something that we haven't seen before. And that was not that much in the books. We can only read about it in the appendix of The Lord of the Rings. There was a good balance between something that was already planned by Tolkien. You have the main events in the appendix of The Lord of the Rings, but it's more like a chronological list of events. There is no storyline in there. So Patrick and JD were able to come with new storylines, new characters, putting all those moments together. So it felt like a very smart move. You have a plan that feels solid and consistent with the world that Tolkien designed, but at the same time you have like very new, fresh elements that will keep the story alive. My first contact with Tolkien was, I was very little and I saw the animation film. The kind of animation that they use, rotoscopy, that felt so different from the other animation movies, made me think that that was something unique and special. Then when I was a teenager, I read the books and I loved them. I became a fan. And then of course I saw the movies and I really liked the movies. But then when I got in contact with Patrick and JD, then I read the books again. And to me it was great because the same books that I read when I was 15 had a complete different meaning to me when I was a lot older, you know? And that tells you how good are the books, you know? Somehow they are great stories, but at the same time, they leave enough space for the reader to interpret the story or to give a different meaning depending on your age.
It's food. They do eat where you're from, don't they? Of course they do, Nori. What a silly question.
What I like about the universe that Tolkien describes in the books is this idea of fantasy that somehow reflects your own reality better than reality itself. I share that vision of fantasy. You know, when you read about them, they are so detailed, they are so rich, that you have the impression that this really happened, you know? But at the same time, these are stories that talk to you about the human soul in a way that you can see yourself better. You can learn things about yourself that you didn't know before. And that's a kind of use of fantasy that I love, that I did in my other films and that I could find in the books of Tolkien. What Tolkien did is so unique. Like, he created a whole new mythology in the 20th century. There's nothing that can compare to. He created the foundations of most of the fantasies that we know already. You can tell how all these fictions are coming or are influenced by Tolkien. Hopefully the show will make the audience to get excited again about going back to Middle-earth. Hopefully the show will make more fans, and I love Tolkien's fans. If you're a Tolkien fan, I already respect you as a human being. And if we get more people excited about the books and they can go back to the books or discover them, that would be fantastic.
Whoa, oh my God. I see the whole...
See you later.
We have to try everything. Right?
Hello.
This for later.
I don't care about the show. I just want a good blooper reel.
I want to learn science.
You guys are gonna make me look like I'm in the show, right? You're gonna put in the effects. Replace the green. I don't want to look like an asshole here.
Sorry.